Welcome back to UK Pro Writers, where we delve into thought-provoking research topics that impact our world. Today, we're exploring the intriguing connection between cultural diplomacy and economic relations, specifically focusing on trade and investments. We'll dive into why this topic is so vital, provide real-world examples, and guide you through the structure of your research. Importance of the research topic. Our topic today, the connection between cultural diplomacy and economic relations, is of paramount significance in today's globalized world. It addresses how nations can use cultural diplomacy, such as art, language, and traditions, to strengthen economic ties with other countries. Understanding this linkage can have a profound impact on international trade, investment, and overall global prosperity. Real-world examples. To illustrate the importance of our research topic, let's consider some real-world examples. Cultural diplomacy and trade. Think about how Japanese anime, sushi, and martial arts have not only promoted Japanese culture but also boosted their exports. These cultural exports create demand for Japanese products and investments in Japan. Investments through cultural connections. The Chinese government's investment in the Confucius Institutes worldwide has not only facilitated cultural exchange but also led to increased economic partnerships between China and host countries. Chapter 1 Introduction. Chapter 1 typically includes the research problem, which defines the specific issue or question the study aims to address, and the research significance, explaining why the study is important or relevant. It also introduces the research context and provides an overview of the research questions, objectives, and rationale. The first chapter of your research sets the stage for everything to come. Let's break down the key components. Research problem. A research problem could be understanding the impact of cultural diplomacy on a nation's foreign direct investment. For example, how does the promotion of Korean pop culture affect South Korea's foreign direct investment? Research significance. This section should highlight why your research matters. For instance, this research is essential as it can guide governments in leveraging their cultural assets for economic growth. Research questions. How does cultural diplomacy influence international trade and investment? What are the key cultural elements that impact economic relations? Do cultural exchanges result in long-term economic benefits? Research objectives. To analyze the relationship between cultural diplomacy and economic relations. To identify the most effective cultural elements for fostering economic partnerships. To assess the long-term effects of cultural diplomacy on trade and investments. Research rationale. An example could be, this research is justified by the increasing role of culture in diplomacy and the limited existing literature on its economic implications. Chapter 2 Literature Review. Chapter 2, the Literature Review, encompasses a comprehensive review of existing scholarly literature and research relevant to the study's topic, providing context and theoretical underpinnings. It also identifies gaps in the literature that the current research aims to address, serving as a foundation for the study's theoretical framework. Chapter 2, the Literature Review, provides a foundation for your research. Here's what you need to consider. Suitable subtopics. Explore topics like the history of cultural diplomacy, economic theories, cultural exchange programs, and their impact. Theories and models. Consider models like soft power theory, as an example China's use of soft power to expand its global influence. And the dependency theory, as an example how economic disparities can affect cultural diplomacy. Literature gap. Identify areas where existing literature falls short. For example, there may be a gap in the literature regarding the long-term economic effects of cultural diplomacy. Chapter 3 Methodology. Chapter 3, the Methodology chapter, outlines the research design, including the conceptual framework, research philosophy, approach, strategy, and data analysis method to be employed in the study. It also discusses ethical considerations, limitations, and delimitations, providing a detailed plan for how the research will be conducted. In the third chapter, you establish your research methodology. Here's how to draft it. Conceptual framework. Design a framework with cultural diplomacy as an independent variable, economic relations as the dependent variable, and cultural elements as mediators. Research philosophy. Pragmatism could be a suitable philosophy for this research, given its practical nature. Research approach. Deductive reasoning is appropriate as you'll be testing established theories on the impact of culture on economics. Research strategy. Use a case study approach, focusing on specific countries or regions. Data analysis method. Quantitative analysis may be suitable to measure the impact of cultural elements on economic metrics. Ethical considerations. Ensure you protect the rights and privacy of individuals involved in cultural exchange programs, just as ethical considerations were taken into account when researching Facebook's data sharing practices. Limitations and delimitation. Recognize that your study may have constraints, such as cultural biases or data availability. Chapter 4 Data Analysis. Chapter 4, the Data Analysis chapter, focuses on the actual analysis of the collected data according to the methodology described in Chapter 3. It presents the results, typically through tables, graphs, or narratives, and interprets those findings to address the research questions, allowing readers to draw conclusions based on the data. Chapter 4 is all about analyzing your data based on the methodology you've recommended. Quantitative analysis. If you're analyzing quantitatively, consider using a sample size of 500 respondents to ensure statistical significance. Qualitative analysis. For qualitative analysis, a sample size of 20 key informants could provide in-depth insights. Chapter 5 Conclusion and Recommendations. The conclusion is where you summarize your findings. Its importance lies in tying up loose ends and answering your research questions. For recommendations, consider suggesting measures governments can take to enhance the economic impact of cultural diplomacy, like promoting cultural education programs or creating incentives for foreign investors. Suggestions for future research. Finally, future research could explore the role of technology in cultural diplomacy, analyze the impact of cultural exchange programs on smaller economies, or assess the effectiveness of cultural diplomacy in crisis management. And that's a wrap on our today's video. We hope this helps guide your research journey into the fascinating realm of cultural diplomacy and economic relations. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on our latest research topics. Thanks for tuning in.